England, 1770s. A man limps slowly down the rows of his own factory. He stops, picks up a finished vase, turns it into the light, and then smashes it on the floor. His workers don't even flinch. They've seen this before. He pulls out a piece of chalk and writes on the workbench, "This will not do for Josiah Wedgwood." Why would a business owner destroy his own product in front of his own people and on purpose? Stay with me because that smashed vase is one piece of a much bigger puzzle. This man, a potter's son with no money, no education, and one working leg, invented almost every marketing tactic you and I use today. The money-back guarantee, free shipping, celebrity endorsements, the flagship showroom. He invented them 250 years before Madison Avenue, and the way he did it will change how you look at your own business, including one campaign so risky, so completely backwards, that no sane person would try it. We'll get to that one. It's the best part. But first, you need to say where this starts, because it does not start well. Burslem, England, 1730. Josiah Wedgwood is born the youngest of 12 children in a family of working potters. When he's 9, his father dies, leaving almost nothing. So the boy goes to work at the pottery wheel, and here's the thing, he's good, genuinely talented. A solid future as a village potter is sitting right there. Then at 11, smallpox nearly kills him. He survives, but the disease settles into his right knee. Year after year, the leg gets weaker until the one skill his entire livelihood depends on, working the potter's wheel, becomes physically impossible. Now watch what happens, because this is the hinge of the whole story. Pushed off the wheel, Josiah has nothing to do but watch, study, and think. And he starts noticing what nobody else in the trade can see, because they're all too busy spinning clay. Why is this glaze inconsistent? Why does this batch crack? Why does everyone accept that's how it's always been done as an answer? He starts a journal he calls his experiment book, and he begins testing methodically, obsessively. For one product alone, he will eventually log over 5,000 recorded experiments. 5,000. Most of us quit after 5. The disability everyone saw as the end of his career had quietly handed him the one thing his competitors didn't have: distance from the work and a clear view of the whole game. By his mid-30s, the experiments pay off. He develops creamware, pottery so refined and so affordable that ordinary families can finally own what only aristocrats could afford. And in 1765 comes the breakthrough. Queen Charlotte herself orders a tea service. Any other craftsman cashes the check and frames the letter. Wedgwood, however, does something audacious instead. He asks permission to rename his entire product line. Creamware becomes Queensware. Overnight, every middle-class family in England can drink tea from the same pottery as the Queen. That's influencer marketing, invented in a single move 2.5 centuries before Instagram. Notice he didn't wait until he was famous. He borrowed trust from someone who already had it. The business explodes. London showrooms where fashionable society comes to browse and be seen. Rotating displays so there's always a reason to come back. Free delivery anywhere in the country. A full money-back guaranteed. Unheard of at the time, because when your quality survives 5,000 experiments, you can put the risk on your own shoulders and use confidence itself as a weapon. And then, at the very peak of the climb, the leg comes for him. 1768, the knee that smallpox ruined finally fails completely, and the surgeons tell him it has to come off. Now understand what that meant in 1768. No anesthesia, no antiseptic, a saw, a table, and a roughly even chance of dying from infection within days. Wedgwood, 38 years old, with a booming business that could collapse the moment he stops, sits in a chair and, according to the accounts, watches the entire operation. Good news, he survives, and within weeks, he's back, directing the factory on a wooden leg, smashing substandard pots, chalk in hand. This will not do for Josiah Wedgwood. Now you know why the workers didn't flinch. A man who sat through that does not lower the bar for anyone, least of all for himself. Which brings us to the campaign I promised you, the insane one. Wedgwood wants the German aristocracy as customers, but he has no presence there, no relationships, nothing. So he and his business partner Bentley do the unthinkable. They pack up roughly 1,000 boxes of fine pottery and ship them unsolicited to 1,000 wealthy German households. No order, no payment, just a note that says, in essence, keep it and pay us, or send it back at our expense. 1,000 boxes of breakable inventory mailed to strangers on an honor system. His contemporaries must have thought the amputation took more than his leg. So what happened? Well, almost nobody sent them back. The campaign was a massive success, and Wedgwood had just proven something marketers still recover every decade. When the product is exceptional, putting it in someone's hands is the most persuasive sales letter ever written. The free trial, the free sample, try before you buy, all of it traces back to 1,000 wooden crates crossing the English Channel. By the time he died in 1795, the ninth-born son of a poor potter was one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in England. His company still sells pottery today, 230 years later, and his fortune funded the education and the famous voyage of his grandson, a curious young man named Charles Darwin. Not bad for a kid whose only door slammed shut at 11 years old. So here's what I leave you with. Wedgwood's edge was never the wheel. It was what he built after the wheel was taken. The standard, the boldness, and the willingness to put his confidence where everyone could see it. Somewhere in your business, there's a Queen Charlotte you haven't asked, or 1,000 boxes you have been too cautious to ship. Which one is it for you? And what would it look like to make that move this week while everyone else is still spinning the wheel?